Hello, BookTube. This is my April reading wrap up, and overall, it was a good month. I read a lot this month. Some great stuff and some stuff that was so bad I've already forgotten about it and moved on with my life, and I'm planning to get rid of it. But we'll move on from that. So let's start. The first book I read. This is just in whatever order. I literally just pulled it up on my phone. The first book I read was a reread of Jane Eyre. Diva, we love Jane Eyre here. I loved it more this time when I read it as a teen. To be honest, yeah, I'm so excited to do Villette in May or whatever. But yeah, Jane Eyre. Oh, I don't know if it's my favorite Bronte or not. I can't decide, but it's definitely contender for a favorite if I'm being honest here. Then I read God's Perfect Child by Carolyn Fraser. Um, I love this book. I knew nothing about it going in, and this is like a history of like the Christian Science Church, and it was lovely. It was amazingly written. I tabbed it all. I loved it. If you haven't picked it up and that sounds interesting, please do because it was lovely. And then let's go to some trash. I read Ernest Hemingway. I read The Old Man and the Sea, and that was I this was a reread again, and I read it as a teen, and I never liked Hemingway. I literally remember finishing it and be like, that was sure a book. That's it. Like it was so boring. And then I reread it because it's been years, and it was boring. But then also after I was like, I gotta try one more Hemingway, just to make it worth my while. And I picked up For Whom the Bell Tolls, and it was so boring. I literally got rid of it when I was camping, so I don't even own it anymore. And then to go from Hemingway to one of my favorite authors ever, I read two Georgia Hare books this month. I read Regency Buck and An Infamous Army, a part of that series with oh my god, I can't remember the first two books. I know one of them was Devil's Cub and is it These Old Shades maybe? But anyway, Regency Buck was probably my favorite of compared to an Infamous Army. I thought that was a bit okay. It wasn't my favorite Hare, but it was still Georgia Hare. Like the bar was set pretty high. Then I read New Testament History by F. Bruce, one of my favorite non-fiction books about the early like Christian period in Rome. Loved it. Probably my go-to if I'm being honest. Then I read Shirley by Charlotte Bronte. This was an like a grower for me. I thought about this book when I read it like every day. It I don't it's not Jane Eyre and that's okay, but I did really enjoy it too. Then I read Lower Than the Angels: A History of Sex and Christianity by Daramid McColinoff. He done that massive chunky what's it like History of Christianity. That's like 1,000 pages. I haven't got that. I haven't read that yet, but I do own it. And this was my first actual book by him, and I loved his pacing. It wasn't that long of a book, but the feet what he was talking about, it's a bit dry, but I was invested. I was deeply moved. I loved it so much, and I can't wait to get to his magnum opus. What I've heard, and then I read Fathers and Son by Turgenev. This was a reread for me. It's Turgenev. It's lovely. My thing with Turgenev is that I kind of love his short stories more than I like his novels, and I haven't read much of him because I don't think he's really that much in print, like in Penguin and Oxfords and all that. But I've always said that sports the sketches hunters not album that sketch hunters photo album thing whatever is my favorite short story collection by him. It's one of my favorites from the Russians, but I feel like Fathers and Sons isn't like an S tier Russian novel. I think it gets overshadowed a lot by the biggies, but it's still Turgenev and he's still very lovely. And give him a chance if you haven't. Check out his plays, check out his short stories, check out his novels because he's a really lovely author. And then after I'd done my Dickens for the month, and this one was Little Dorrit, and I was amazed how much I really enjoyed this. This was set in like a prison setting, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the romance in here was sweet between the main characters. I thought it was so lovely. The pacing was really good for this one. The only thing with Dickens again, it's a bit too long. If I'm being a bit honest, this did not need to be over 800 pages. But yeah, I really liked it. I could see how it's very underrated in Dickens like canon, because it's stuck between. Oh my god, what's it in between? Um, oh my god, I can't even remember. Um, is it Bleak House? Does it go Bleak House, Little Dorrit, and then A Tale of Two Cities and Great Expectations? But I can see how it gets lost in the shuffle of Dickens novels, and also it was the last um, Dickens critiquing British society novel he done really, and I feel like it's one of his better books. I actually really liked it, and I would happily reread it again. So I read that. Then I read The Commonwealth of Thieves of Thomas Kennelly. This was an early history of Australia, like colonization and all that. I really like Tom Keneally. He wrote Schindler's List, Schindler's Ark, or whatever. I never knew he wrote fiction. I know that's really bizarre. I only know him for his non-fiction, as because he wrote histories of Australia. I love him. He's a really great popular author, like popular non-fiction author. Check him out if you haven't. He wrote a lovely 3-volume history of Australia from like the very beginning all the way to I think just after the Vietnam War. I could be wrong. It's been years since I read it, but I do have all 3 of them, all 3 volumes. And so yeah, pick him up if you haven't, because he's a very lovely author. And but I haven't read his fiction. I know that's what he's most known for, but like I haven't read that yet. I know. And then I read Trash. These were some trash books. Um, One of them was As I Lay Dying by Faulkner. Trash, move on. We don't need. I don't even want to pick up that copy of it again. But then, throughout the month of April, I was like, I'm gonna torture myself, and I read Finnegan's Wake by my bestie Joyce. I love James Joyce. As everyone knows, he's one of my favorite authors. Up there with Haya. But yeah, Finnegan's Wake. I literally cannot tell you a single thing about it. I love watching people talk about Finnegan's Wake, like academics and all that, and they talk about how the prose is so like dreamy and it's like you're floating, and it just I don't get it, and I probably never will. But I did read that. It took me a while, and I still don't know what it's about. I literally cannot tell you a single thing about it. And the scary thing with Finnegan's Wake, what no one told me, was that as you keep going in a novel, the chapters get longer, and I wasn't mentally prepared for that. Like, literally 50-page chapters. Like, you're not Robin Hobb. Like, sit down, Joyce. Like, sit down. Anyway, so I loved Finnegan's Wake. That was a lovely read. And then I read for the first time The Sound and the Fury by Faulkner, because I was like, oh, I've got those 2 left. And it was trash. It was somehow even worse than As I Lay Dying. I feel bad for Americans. The fact that that's like literally one of their great American novels. Like people consider it that, and the fact it's taught in schools, it should be like it. No, it doesn't deserve that. And then because I wasn't done finishing like hating myself, I read A Portrait of the Artist of a Young Man by my bestie Joyce again. And this was the first time reading it, and this is the second time I've tried to pick it up, because the first time I did, I couldn't even get through the first page, and I somehow got through it this time, and it was somehow more aggravating, especially after coming off the back of Finnegan's, and I wasn't like it was worse. I think I had a worse reading experience if I read A Portrait in literally like an evening. It just somehow dragged on worse than Finnegan's. I can't explain it, but that's my experience with it. But in saying that, I am excited to do Ulysses in April. I don't even know what May. I don't even know what month we're in, but yeah, I can't wait to do Ulysses, because why not? I've got nothing else to do. And then after that, I had to cleanse myself from the evil books I had read during that time period, and I needed to go to an icon, and I reread a autobiography of the creature herself, the inventor of traveling. I don't think people traveled before Marjorie Kemp traveled. I love this reread. It was so delightful. I don't know what to say. It's Marjorie Kemp. Like there's so many things about her travels that live rent free in my mind. If you haven't picked up The Diva, that is the book of Marjorie Kemp, please do, because you are missing out on one of the loveliest travel stories you've ever heard in your life. And I love Marjorie. Marjorie's like, it's like I can't even do the hierarchy between her and like Haya, but they're up there. I know it's a bit weird, but they're up there. And then I read Identity by Nora Roberts, one of her newer standalone thrillers. Lovely. It's what you expect from Nora by this point. And I mostly read it because I've had it for a while, but also Hidden Natures like just came out or whatever, and in the whatever month May I'm gonna be reading that. So I was like, I better catch up with Nora to see what she's been doing recently. So that was a lovely book. If you love Nora, pick it up because Nora is great. Then I done a reread. This was probably one of the big highlights was Crime and Punishment. Dostoevsky, heard of him. I read this when I was like 15. It blew my mind, and rereading it as someone that's nearly 22, it it didn't lose its like amazingness in my mind. I stuck with the Constance Garnett translation because I love Constance Garnett for Dostoevsky, and it's very her writing's like it's very English. Like you can suss out that she wasn't doing a literal translation, but I loved it. I love the pacing. I love the sense of dread. It's kind of punishment. Like what else do you want me to say? It's a diva. And then we hit the last three books. My romance phase that's been kicked up for a bit for a while, but who knows when it'll end. I read Captive Bride by Joanna Lindsay. This was her debut. If you love a Bodice Ripper, pick that up because it was very much of its time. Same as The Wolf and the Dove by Kathleen Woodless. Again, diva. Not my favorite. I don't know. I still go back between A Flame and a Flower and A Wolf and a Dove as my favorite Woodless. Those are the only two I've read, but like, yeah, I've really enjoyed. If you want to try Bodice Ripper, go with Kathleen. She's literally the one that started it, so yeah, do that. And then I just finished it last night, and this was Georgia Haya, a biography of a bestseller by Jennifer Collister. This is I don't even know if maybe this is the first biography of Haya. I don't know if there's been one before. Um, I don't know how much Jennifer had in terms of access to Haya's like from the estate to Haya's personal records and all that because I don't think she had much. I can see Haya's estate being like yeah nah because Haya didn't want because Haya was like one of the most private authors you can imagine for someone who had a 50-year long career as one of the biggest romance sellers ever of her time period, and she done one written interview, and that's it. She literally done that one, and I liked. If you just want a Haya, here's the facts about her life. This is the biography for you, pretty much. Outside of that, you can tell Jennifer was very I really didn't. Her writing was fine, but you can tell she was very biased towards Haya, and I think in terms of the way Haya, I don't want to say Haya was mean, but in terms of the way she thought about herself, in terms like comparing herself to other authors, and just the way she acted in certain situations, and with her taxes and the mess that was, I think Jennifer really made Haya out to be more sympathetic than she kind of was. But then again, I don't know much about Haya because she was so private, and that really conflicts in my mind about Haya. But I am seated for Haya. I love Georgia Haya. I have nearly all of her romances. I am deeply invested in Haya. And so that was my reading month for April. Let me know about the books I read, what you thought of them, what you thought I think of thought of them, whatever I just said. But yeah, that's really it for today. Thank you so much for watching BookTube, and I'll see you next time.